Hey gang, it's JC, and this is the Daily Dose for Wednesday, August 24th, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. I'm afraid to say something like August 24th because that tells me that summer is coming to an end. I think there's 29 days officially left of summer, but we all know summer, for all intents and purposes, ends on the Labor Day weekend, and that is only a couple of weeks away, and that stinks. Anyhow, we have great television archives at the top of the page. We have our eye candy feature along the bottom. And I apologize, yesterday the picture that you were trying to look at of me as a baby in 1954 was botched, and we didn't get it back up so that you could see it until late in the afternoon, but it is in the archives. Just click on the picture and you'll see what I looked like with my mouth wide open in 1954 when I was 1 year old. Okay, so you can check that out. And our rock and roll poll question from yesterday: in 10 years, will Kim Kardashian still look hot and sexy? And you surprised me again, because 56% of you said no. Her looks will deteriorate and her ass will be the size of a garbage truck. That's number one answer, 56%. Number two, sort of, she'll look like someone who used to be hot. That's at 30%. And only 14% of you said that, yes, she will still look great and her beauty won't fade. Trish Gazelle in the minority today. All right. We're doing the big radiothon for the men's group against cancer. And by the way, I got a message for the other organization, the men's group for cancer. You're going down today. All right. Anyhow, how much money did you donate to charity last year? Under $100, between $100 and $500, between $500 and $1,000, or over $1,000? Please answer in the corner. We like to sort of know where you come down on stuff like this. It helps us out. And it's also just sort of fun to sort of survey our listeners and sort of see where you are on certain issues of the day. So how much did you give to charity last year? Well, the big story yesterday was that earthquake, or pair of earthquakes. We had somebody in our programming and engineering department who said that she felt the earthquake yesterday. And I thought that was a lot of baloney. And then I heard that actually people were feeling tremors all over the place. Officials say it originated a half-mile below ground near the Washington, D.C. area between bedrock and President Obama's approval rating. Yesterday's earthquake in Virginia was felt in New York City. At one point, the shaking grew so intense that Derek Jeter almost rolled off a pile of supermodels. And a possible release date for the iPhone 5 has surfaced, and that date is the day after you plunk down $400 for the iPhone 4. By now you've heard this rumor going around that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett are splitting up. They absolutely insist there's no truth to it whatsoever. This came from TMZ. And let me just tell you something. TMZ, you can say what you want about these guys and girls, but they tend to have it right. So I'm very curious to see what TMZ's statement will be, and whether or not they know something or what the hay is going on here. So keep your eye on that one. The website for the Kim Kardashian sex tape had 2 million visitors last weekend while she was getting married. Apparently Chris Humphries not the only person who saw her naked over the weekend. Somebody sent a suspicious powder to Craig Ferguson on the Late Late Show on CBS in Television City in Los Angeles. It turned out to be harmless, but police are investigating. They think it was sent somewhere from Europe. Jane Lynch, the true superstar of Glee, admits that she got hooked on NyQuil when she quit drinking in 1991. Simon Cowell says he gets hooked up to an IV to get his weekly vitamins. That sounds about right. Girls Gone Wild scumbag Joe Francis was charged yesterday with 3 misdemeanor counts of false imprisonment because he allegedly took 3 girls to his mansion against their will. Again, that sounds about right. And New York Magazine says the Oxygen Network has no plans to do another season of Paris Hilton's reality show, The World According to Paris. Oh, and I love to see that burnout. Speaking of burnout, remember Ted Williams? I was supposed to do this story yesterday, I forgot. Ted Williams was the homeless guy who they found living on the side of the highway in Columbus, Ohio. He turns out he's got this unbelievable voice. The next thing you know, Ted is a superstar. He's everywhere. He's being interviewed by everybody. Everybody's wishing him well. People start throwing gigs at him, and then something seemed to not go right there for a while. And we even asked, as one of our rock and roll poll questions, where do you think this guy will be in a year, 5 years, whatever? And a lot of people said probably back out on the street for the most part. Anyhow, so he had signed a deal to star in a new show called Second Chances at Life. The show was going to document his struggles with alcohol abuse and how he came back, etc. and so forth. But that all got shot to hell when Kraft, because remember they gave him a job doing a voiceover on a commercial for Kraft, and then that went away. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had also offered him a job, that went away. Then came reports that Williams was back in rehab to committing to a 90-day program. TMZ reported that he was so whacked out earlier this year, he didn't even know where he was, what he was doing. He was incapable of even understanding what was happening to him. And while that was going on, some scumbag public relations firm came along and signed him to an exclusive contract where basically they got everything and he got nothing. So now some lawyer representing Ted Williams has come along and they're suing those guys because they said that they basically pulled the wool over his eyes. Meanwhile, he was supposed to be handling the announcing duties for Baltimore Fashion Week. There was one. And that deal went south too. So I don't get any joy out of reading this thing. I'm just telling you, this is one of those things where you could sort of look at it when it was happening and get the idea that maybe things weren't really going to end up with this happy ending after all. The guy was just too messed up. That's all there is to it. We got talking with Eric Mink yesterday about David Letterman, because now you got Craig Ferguson getting weird stuff in the mail. But, you know, it just suddenly dawned on me that I'm not really sure that any television personality in history, certainly no television personality on the level of David Letterman, one of these late night hosts, or at least none we ever knew about, was surrounded by this much controversy. First of all, he's got a woman living in his house, trying to live in his house. She keeps breaking in and he has to have her arrested, and then she ends up committing suicide or something like that. Of course, he doesn't get the Tonight Show. He was the heir apparent. He was Johnny Carson's hand-picked guy to be his successor to the Tonight Show, and he got jacked out of that by Leno. So you got that. Let's see. Then Crispin Glover comes on the show and almost breaks his nose. Then he gets shingles and misses like 2 months of his own show. Then he's out in Montana. He's got a house out there, and a bear breaks into the house and, you know, starts going through the stuff in the kitchen. Then one of these guys out in Montana, 2 painters or something, 2 contractors, they're going to kidnap his kid for ransom. And then, of course, you know, all of the intern stuff. He's boinking interns. That intern Stephanie Burkett, who used to be on the show all the time. I love Dave. I love the show. I've always loved the show. But man, oh man, you know, when you stop and really think about it, it's like, how many? It's weird. All right, speaking of Letterman, he ought to have a good show tonight, because say what you will about this whole Charlie Sheen 2.5 Men thing, everybody on earth is going to be watching the season premiere of 2.5 Men, and Ashton Kutcher is going to be on Letterman tonight. And also one of the biggest jackasses I have ever met in my life, Stuart Copeland of The Police, is going to do a drum solo. You have no idea what a dick this guy is. I'll tell you that story some other time. The earthquake yesterday, one of these bloggers who's following the president around while he's out playing golf says that the president missed a putt because of because of the earthquake. Maybe he just sucks at golf. We know he can't throw. We saw that when he was wearing mom jeans at the ballpark during the All-Star game here a couple of years ago and threw not impressively. A lot of things Obama can do. I'm not sure athletics is one of them, although he can shoot hoops. I saw that. On Monday night, a New York Mets versus Philadelphia Phillies game was briefly delayed when center fielder Angel Pagan, or Angel if you like, was supposed to bat, but he was stuck in the bathroom with diarrhea. So he finally makes it onto the plate, quickly grounds out, and then gets benched for the rest of the game. He worked things out with the manager. Now, that's an interesting story because Mark Grace, former first baseman from the Chicago Cubs and, of course, from St. Louis, on the rubber chicken circuit, you know, when they have these sports banquets and everything, he tells a very, very, very guttural, filthy, scandalogical, but hilarious story about when he was stuck in the Cubs clubhouse at like a Saturday afternoon, 40,000 people there, and he gets diarrhea and, let's just say, has an accident. So now he's in the clubhouse trying to change everything, including his pants, his socks, his shoes, everything, and he's supposed to bat. So the manager basically goes out and fakes having an argument with the home plate umpire to stall, and the umpire is in on it too. It's a very funny story, but he tells it better than I do. Beloit College in Wisconsin, it's just over the Illinois border in southern Wisconsin. Every year they release that list, the mindset list, for the incoming crop of freshmen, most of them born in 1993. This is like my daughter. I have a daughter who's a freshman in college. And they don't remember much before 98 or 99 They have no memory of the first George Bush presidency. Ferris Bueller is now old enough to be their father. Amazon makes them think of the website first and the river second. MP3s have always been available to download, whether legally or illegally. They've never seen that gigantic Sears catalog. They have no memory of Michael Jordan or the Chicago Bulls. They never saw Cheers on NBC. Their parents have told them stories about how they fought to get them a Tickle Me Elmo when they were 3 years old. They never saw the Soviet Union, and the phrase "don't touch that dial" means nothing to them because they never had dials on anything. All right. David Gregory, host of Meet the Press, 41 years old today. Keith Moon of The Who, on this date 1968, finished celebrating his birthday from the day before by driving a Lincoln Continental into the Holiday Inn swimming pool in Flint, Michigan. We just don't have great stories out of the rock and roll community anymore like that. Keith, he was one of a kind. All right, JC's Eye Candy today. We're going back to 1988. And Mr. T in the studio back at the old classic rock KSD days out at Corporate Square in Creve Coeur. Me and Mr. T. There's Mr. T anyhow. Isn't it the opposite of Mr. Coffee? Anyhow, that picture is right below what you're looking at right now. You can check that out. All right, our rock and roll poll question again today. How much money did you donate to charity last year? Answer, please, in the corner. And Trish and I will be on the air today from noon to 3. The Men's Group Against Cancer live from Purina downtown in St. Louis. We hope you can donate some money. In the meantime, that's it. The Daily Dose for Wednesday, August 24th, 2011. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Great fastball by Skip Schumacher last night, 74 miles an hour. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.